All right, everyone. It's Doug the Dog Guy, owner and founder of Bad to the Bone Pet Care, and I am here with Amy Toman of Pet Sitter SEO. I'm so excited to be interviewing her. And hi, Amy. How you doing?
Hey Doug, I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, great. I'm so thankful for you. You know, I had some Google reviews go missing off of my Google business listing, and you got them restored. So thank you.
Yeah, it's Google's been doing that a lot lately, and it's problematic. But happily enough, there's routes where you can get them, get them restored if they're legit. And happily enough, Google was nice to us this time.
Man, yeah, I was very excited, very excited. So I have followed you on Facebook for a long time, and I heard you on Pet Sitter Confessional a while back, and people always refer to you as the expert, the SEO expert for the pet industry. So tell me what that actually means, and what do you actually do as a SEO and Google expert?
Wow, it's a lot. For those who don't follow me or just kind of came upon our conversation, SEO is search engine optimization. It refers to both the thing that we do and the person. So it's an optimizer optimization. What it is, it's basically positioning your information in the best way so that Google can, and the search engines, I should say, use it to your advantage. And it's a lot of different aspects of things, and I have learned over time to just, as many people have, because there you can't really get a degree in it. It's just they just don't exist. So but that's what I do. That's what I do. Search engine optimization for a lot of different type businesses, but I started with pet sitters, and so I've just always gotten, I just kind of find myself fitting into that niche. A product expert, a Google product expert, is what I got starting last August, and then I got a promotion in April. And what that means is that I am one of the top contributors in the Google My Business, or Google Business Profile, or to say the wrong one, um, excuse me, forum. And what that also means is that I can help people by requesting, I can either answer a lot of questions, or I can help individual business owners. Um, Sometimes they have issues that just can't get solved through the regular routes with Google listings. And you just need to get Google's attention. It's like sometimes you're just sitting there and you're like, I know that this is not, the regular behavior, and I just need to get Google's attention. That's what I'm able to do for the most part. I can, I look at the situation, I assess it, and if it's something that I know kind of how it would get dealt with, I can request manual assessment by Google, and oftentimes they can fix it.
Wow, wow. I mean, as a dog guy, a lot of this is just way over my head. So,
But see,
what?
here's the thing. You don't need to know it. The good part is you've got somebody like me who you can contact, right? So it's like, you had reviews, you had a review issue, you knew, as far as you knew, there was some way to deal with it. You didn't know what it was. So a lot of times, literally what I'm doing when somebody contacts me is me just saying, okay, this is how you fix it. Right. So sometimes it's me just saying, this is how you fix it, or you have to report it, and they report it, everything is fine. But other times, then it becomes, when it's a bigger thing, then I can explain to somebody, look, I have to fix it, or I can tell you how to get somebody to fix it. So a lot of times it's not that you have to know everything, but you have to find yourself a good resource who can help you, get everything figured out.
Well, it sounds like we found a great resource.
Thank you. Thank you. And I tell you though, I will tell people, if anyone is listening to this, and if they know me, if they've heard me before, and even if they haven't, if we do start talking about SEO and Google listings, I hope people have a crayon and construction paper to take notes. I kind of give out a lot of information really, really quickly. So I've been
I've
told that before, and people are like, I'm going to have to listen to that again. I'm like, sure, that's a good thing. Definitely go for it.
I've got my pen and paper ready. So,
Smart man,
so
very smart.
how did you get into doing all of this, and how did you learn what you know? You said they don't offer degrees in it. So how did you learn all of this?
I started out, first of all, I've been online forever. That's all. I think I took that out of my bio recently, but it's true. I sent my first email in about 1988, and I kid you not. Uh,
Wow.
it was for this very large bank that I worked for down on Wall Street, New York. And I've just kind of been paying attention to it ever since, I was on AOL and as things developed. And I started working for a very small website. I don't know, it was like platform, I guess. It was one of the do-it-yourself sort of things. And when that left, that ended like really quickly. Like, where did it, why did this just end? I don't know. But people kept asking me, can I still ask you questions? So I was like, I'll keep going. So I started out on my own, learned a lot more, started answering questions in the Google forum, and here we are. Here we are. A lot of it is logic of what I do. There's also several, other aspects like analytics and tech aspects, but a lot of it is just really basic stuff. And that's what I love to kind of bring to small business owners. The whole idea that it's not a big deal, but you have to, like, things like, I am not being seen for this term. You don't have the term on your website. It's not on your homepage. You don't have a page for it. It's not kind of mentioned anywhere. So if you're not coming up for it, it's like you have to put it out there. And people are like, oh, I knew that. I know. It's like sometimes it's just a little thing, but a lot of it I find very logical. So, and you know what? I can't say I'm the best, but you know what? A lot of people have told me that they implemented the things that I recommend, and it's going well for them. So to me, that's a sign of success.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. How did you get into niching within the pet care industry?
Oh, because that business that I was working for a couple of years, even went to a couple of conferences, actually ran most of one of them, the second one. Oh, it's a long story. But that was working with pet sitters. So when I left, pet sitters kept asking me questions, and they're like, you should start a business doing this. I'm like, okay, you're right. So that's how I started Pet Sitter SEO, which is my business. And as I said, I now have other, I work with other business categories as well. But what's fun is I take what I learn in those other areas, and then I still bring it down to pet sitters, dog walkers, groomers, people in these associated industries. Because there's a lot of high level information that some of it's really easy to get started on your listing. It's not, it doesn't need big bucks. It doesn't need, a lot of technical know-how, but sometimes it's the little things that really make the difference. So that's it. I started in pet sitting, working with pet sitters in about 15, and just haven't given it up as I've kind of also started doing other things. But I like pet sitters. Most people are very nice and, appreciative of the fact that they don't know about this stuff, but they really need it. And I appreciate y'all, because I could not do what y'all do. I don't have the patience. I don't have the attention span. I would be like, you're calling me at 2 a.m. No, whereas I've just heard some amazing stories of pet sitters, and just, I have the utmost respect for y'all. I really do.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. Um, so does Google offer like courses that you take? How do you stay up to date on your knowledge? And I know things are changing so quickly. How do you continue your education in that way?
Um, I, for the most part, I started out kind of on my own. I felt like I was a little island. And then I was in this Slack group, actually. And then people there, this very nice woman, I feel like she was like my little fairy godmother. She said, do you go on Twitter much? And I went on, and she suggested one person. From that person, I started following other people. I made some really great friends. I'll shout out to my friend Jason and my friend Andy, and just started learning, because people there are constantly saying, look what I found, look what I discovered, look what I do. Oh, don't do that, do this instead. Or, have you looked at this resource? So it's just a matter of taking it all in, parsing it out to what you can use at the time. So that's really been it. It's been knowing people, it's been connecting, it's been going to conferences, um, contributing. That's pretty much it. There's no, yeah, Google doesn't offer courses. There are some people who will have Google occasionally, I think, does have like a course about maybe optimizing your listing, and they're general. They're general. Like I helped somebody today. She's working on a new one. She's updating the course for a platform about how to optimize your Google listing. And I was helping her edit that today. That was kind of fun. But no
Wow.
courses. It's just a lot of it is just, reading, taking notes, retaining what you can, and applying everything.
Wow. That's impressive. That is so impressive.
That's fun.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar journey with my business where I didn't know anything about running a business or growing a business when I started. I really didn't even know anything about pet care besides the dogs that I grew up with. And I tell everyone that I've kind of learned everything that I know the hard way, and a lot through trial and error, and meeting with other people and making connections, and learning through their mistakes.
Yes.
So
That's a lot
yeah,
of it, isn't it? Is listening to how other people manage their situations. And sometimes it's learning through their mistakes, sometimes it's learning through their victories. And getting along with people is a big thing, isn't it? It makes it a lot easier.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just having connections with people can totally change your life.
It
And
really can. It really can.
yeah. Um, so let's get into some of the juicy stuff. I want to know what the top three things are that people need to know about SEO.
Um, that's really good. The biggest one I would say is you need to make it easier for people to contact you. So
Okay.
if you have on your website, you should have a header as things change, design changes, user expectations changes, the search engines change. People are looking for different things. And right now, they really want to know how to contact you. What's the easiest way? And so the biggest thing I would say is just make sure your contact information is very easy to find. If somebody is going and looking for you specifically, they should find your Google listing. Your Google listing should be up to date and should be current, right? Should have your current phone number, current business name, website, the whole drill. And when I say that, I'm not talking about Google listings. I'm talking about your website, because right now, when somebody's on their mobile and they Google anything from pet sitter near me to your business name, right? The first thing that usually comes up are those little Google listings. So in as much as you will be one of 10 or 60 on a Google page, on a front page, a home page, you could be one of 3 that shows up there. So the big thing is contact information. You want Google to have your contact information freely available. The next thing I would say is have the information that people need. And what do they usually need? And I know it varies for all businesses. They want to know what you do, what services you provide, and where you provide them. A lot of times businesses do not put that at the top of their homepage. They don't, and they will say like you know, Betty's dog walking. And that's it. And then like you go down the bottom of the page and maybe they'll say their service areas in the footer. It's like, no, somebody wants to know it before they scroll, right? So letting people know the information they need to know, preferably at the top of your every page, right? And then the last thing I was going to say is just, again, it's content. It's content. Have good photos, show people what you do. If somebody comes and you get the same question over and over, then obviously that information needs to be updated on your website. I'm working with somebody now and I was like, oh, good, they're a trainer, but they mention certain things. And I'm like, so I'll go on the website and I don't see the answer on the website. So I'm like, okay, I think they need to lay this out a little bit more clearly, because again, if you look at a business listing and they're not answering all your questions, okay, a plumber, right? Do they provide the service I need? I need them to fix, say, my boiler, right? Do they provide the service I need? Are they available now? And are they going to come to my neighborhood? Well, that information should be at the top of a website or in the footer. And when you don't provide the information that people don't want, they're just going to like one click away from going back out and finding the next person. So I would say those are the top three that I would recommend for SEO.
Wow, that's a lot.
Sorry.
That's a lot.
I speak densely. I'm not dense, but I speak densely. Oops.
I've heard people talk about like alt attributes when it comes to photos and keywords. I mean, how does all that stuff play into this? Is that super important, or should we need just focus on the header and the stuff that you just listed there?
Oh, you know what? Everything works together. There's no like I said, to me, the biggest things are your contact information and really the information at the top of the pages, specifically the homepage. Alt is alt attributes, which are little. Do you ever have, for people who are not, don't think about it, or sometimes they go by different terms. If you have a builder, like if you have a GoDaddy builder or a Wix builder, they use different terms for these. Alt attributes are for what if the picture, say if you have a connection where the picture doesn't show up, little bits of text will, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to explain what's in the photo. Now, I used to think those are cute, those are nice, those are lovely, those are not important. They are. They are, because now a lot of people have screen readers, like older people or blind people completely, or anybody who needs a screen reader. So those alt attributes help people understand what's on the page. So, it's
Wow.
important, but it's one of a lot of things. Keywords, I don't think people understand about keywords. Keywords are funny because most pet sitters want to come up for dog walker location, right? Service location. And that's what you should try to come up for. And so, but the thing is, a lot of times people don't know how to actually get that on their website in a way that the search engines can use, right? When websites started getting, people started playing around and trying to kind of manipulate their appearance in search engines. You could have something like dog walker, town name, and you'd have it on either on an entire page, right? Or you'd have it say at the bottom in say a font that was just a bit darker than your background, right? Or say if you have a white background, people would just put it in white so you couldn't see it, but it was there. Well, Google would say, oh, great, they mentioned that 20 times, or the search engines, I should say, they mentioned that 20 times on a page, so they must be important. They must do it. Well, now we're at the point that don't fly anymore, and quite frankly, that just looks silly. Most people know that was the year 2000. That's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now what happens, especially with keywords, is the search engines look for context. If you say you are a dog walker, but you do not feature images, yes, they can tell you what's in an image right now. Google can tell you then not only they can tell you that there's a dog in the image, but they can tell you what breed it is.
Wow.
It can tell you long hair, short hair, all these things. But so if you are a dog walker and you do not have photos of dogs on your pages, or you have photos of dogs, cats, chameleons, guinea pigs, all this, Google is going to say, well, you take care of pets. But if you specifically want to be known as a dog walker, you've just diluted it by not being that specific. And you say to me, that's not a keyword. Well, yeah, it is. All of that features in to what you want to be known for. So Google looks for it in context, right? If you're on your homepage, you say you're a dog walker and that's all you say, that's one thing. But if say you're a dog walker and then you go in and you describe where you walk dogs, if you go to a dog park, if you go to hiking, things like that. If you mention that you know people who work at kennels or facilities like that, dog resorts, things like that, all of that on the same page tells the search engines you have a lot of information about this. This must be what your primary, type of your business is. So that's the thing. I think sometimes when people think of keywords, they don't understand how to implement them. But quite frankly, at this point, it's not a matter of implementing them so much as talking about them, right? Just having the information there and talking about them. If you want to be known as a cat sitter, Google right now, their Google listings do not have a category for cat sitter. I have to work on that. But how do you tell? You do it in context. You say you can say it on your Google listing, but on your website, all the photos should be of cats. All your content should be about cats, the care of cats, cat behavior. Do you keep them overnight? How do you groom them? Things like that. And again, if you concentrate on that, you will be known as somebody who cares for cats. Even if Google can't direct you directly from their Google listing, they will know from other things that you point out. So keywords as a single function is important, but it's not as important as context. Was that
Wow,
too much
it's
in the weeds? Sorry.
man.
Sorry.
That's incredible how intuitive Google is and how all
Yes.
of this is interconnected and works together in that way. That's incredible.
Very, very much so. And it's funny because when you realize things like now, you have AI chatbots that actually don't sound fake. And they're, like I said, Google can tell exactly what's in a photo. I have a photo of my cat that I uploaded. And when you look at it, I mean, actually, I have a photo of 3 attorneys just to see where it had gone, had it been updated. These are 3 attorneys standing on a stairs approaching, I don't know, a building with columns, which we will assume is a courthouse. This went down to telling you jacket, pants, what type of what's the word? What type of, what do you call it? That they were not in casual clothing. They were in business attire. And it just went on and it talked about that the looks on their faces, joyful, happy, somber. It took in all this information. And but what was interesting about that was like that all fits into where that photo is eventually put. It will then kind of it'll inform the rest of the information on the page, right? So it's
Wow.
not going to tell you, that, okay, fine, you have 3 men in suits. You would assume that that is on some business page, right? Maybe consultants, maybe attorneys, maybe something else. But you would not find that, say, on a farmer's, website, right? But why? Because it's not the right vibe, right? And that's the thing. Google is able to tell now what are in photos. So it's all part of everything works together, and it's just amazing. Like used to say, oh, there are this many ranking factors. I can't even fathom how many ranking factors there are, because of the fact that they have just taken they take like analysis of like every little element, and they take it to the next planet almost. It's just so amazing.
Wow. And all of this is being done just by an algorithm?
Algorithms. Yeah, algorithms. I always think that there's just so much going on there. Like if you ask somebody, a lot of times there are just so many different teams at Google, in as much as maybe they have one algorithm, but I just always think that there must be a bunch of them just going through and then like connecting somewhere, because they just look at so much, and they just
Wow.
categorize so much. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
That's incredible. Um,
I don't know if they've grown or I just know more about it, because that could be it as well.
probably both.
Exactly.
Um, for like a business like mine, we offer multiple different services. We offer like in-home pet sitting and dog walking, and then we do local and nationwide pet transportation. And then I also offer traveling pet care. I was just in Germany pet sitting a couple weeks ago, and then uh, we also offer these services in multiple different cities. So Jacksonville, Florida is our main area, but then we also offer services in Lakeland, Plant City, and Eastern Tampa. So when you're thinking about SEO and laying out your website for a business that offers so many different services in so many different areas. How do you recommend going about that?
It's difficult because Google listings are really, they really do help. When you find a business who doesn't have one and they get one, it's amazing the amount of leads that come in. I am truly a local SEO. I don't necessarily deal with national businesses, but what I can say is one of the best things that I would recommend is having an official office in those areas, a rented office in those areas, so that you can establish yourself there, because you can't have it at, and you may know this, you cannot have it, your Google listing, at an address that you do not control, right? So it can't be a
Right.
shared workspace. It cannot be the United States Post Office. Yes, I've seen this. You cannot have it at a mailboxes, etc. You cannot have it at a staff member's house. Can't have that.
Wow.
People think you can. You cannot, because
Wow.
you need to be in control of the space.
Okay.
So if anybody ever has a question, they can always send it to me and I will let them know. But and also, I mean, to be totally honest, if a competitor finds out that you have set up a listing and the address is not where it should be, they can report you and you can get suspended. So
Wow.
I'm very into following the rules, primarily because I've seen what happens when, say, somebody gets suspended and then they have to produce their paperwork and their paperwork does not match the information on the Google listing. So it takes a lot of time for them to get everything figured out. And as we all know, the longer you're offline, that's just money down the drain. That's money you're not going to see. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the
Is
big thing
it
is, honestly, I mean, if you're doing multiple pages, like, yes, I am conveniently on your website right now. I will say that one of the things that's very important is to have a page for each of your locations.
okay?
So
Okay.
if you have 5 locations, and when I say 5 locations, I don't mean 5 people within, 10 miles. What I mean is, if you have 5 locations, say in the state of Florida, you have, I don't know, 2 at the very top, one over in the Panhandle, one down in Miami, one on the west side, one in Orlando, the whole thing. The At a minimum, if you don't find it feasible to have an office that you can actually, register, best thing that you can do anyway, and you should do with those, is to have a page for each of your locations. And it should be optimized for that location. Say like your primary is, I don't know, Jacksonville, and this one is going to be Orlando. Well, you know what? You have Orlando in the little browser tab at the top. You have Orlando at the top of the page in the headers. You have it in the footer. You mention all this information about it. You have links going to different places in that area. And you really optimize it for that term, and you do that for every area that you want to, show that you're present in. But to
Okay.
not have that to real, because here's the thing, there's a possibility that each of those pages can now come up in search results, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that page, you could possibly come up for, say, your homepage and your contact us page. But if you have this extra page, there's that option as well, that Google may pick that up instead and say, oh, there's a good pet sitter. I know what they are doing. I've seen their reviews in other places. We'll add them as well.
Wow. Sounds like I have some homework then.
I don't know. I don't see those. And I mean, we'll talk sometime.
Yeah.
Some other suggestions as well.
Okay, good, good. Um, uh, what I want to talk about Google listings for a minute. What are the top 3 things that people need to know about their Google business listing?
Don't screw around. That's the biggest one.
Okay.
Always be ready to be suspended. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. How about that? Let's start
Wow.
with don't screw around. Don't screw, and remember what those are, because I may forget. Don't screw around, meaning do not don't play around with your address, with your business listing title. If your listing title is Dara's Dog Walkers, do not add your location. Do not add other services unless you have paperwork to back them up. Why? Because if somebody reports you to Google and you don't have paperwork to back them up, you're going to be offline until you can provide that paperwork. If you have to go back and get your LLC updated, you have to get your utilities updated, you have to, you know what I mean? It's going to be a pain. Same thing with address. So you can get suspended if you're using your home address, but you're not complying with Google's rules. Same thing. You're then either going to have to, you're going to have to figure out why you were suspended. And then you're going to have to go in and make changes on your listing. So try from the outset to set your listing up to comply with Google's rules, because if you don't, and you may end up having problems going forward. I will say, especially if you have one of the franchises.
Okay.
I've spoken to several people who have, I'm not going to name the company, but franchises with a certain company. I spent like 45 minutes with somebody recently, because sometimes franchises will tell you that for your area, you can you can use a post office place, or you can use the US Post Office, or you can use a similar, you can't. And the problem is, if you don't live in those areas and then you get suspended and your paperwork is not registered in that area, you're going to have problems. So that was the first one. I don't know what the second one was. Do you remember? It was, I can't remember what my second point was. Do you remember?
Don't screw around. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and be ready to be suspended.
Perfect. Don't put your eggs all in one basket. If you're getting over 60% of your leads from your Google listing, what happens if that stops?
Right.
You're stuck. So you want to make sure that you are spreading out a little bit of your efforts, right? Go on social. Maybe do things in the community, show up at local events. Just make sure that, keep that in the back of your mind. What would happen if my Google listing goes down? You don't want to have everything all with one company, because, Google is inconsistent. I in the past few months, I've seen them just take listings away, just gone out of nowhere, just, not able to be found. And then they come back and say that they, different reasons for it. And you're like, none of which have to do with anything the person did, right? It was a technical issue. So just remember, if you have all your eggs in one basket and that basket goes away, you're kind of in trouble. So you want to make sure that you are kind of, like I said, spreading out your efforts, do things in the community, maybe advertise locally, maybe be in local, Nextdoor and Facebook groups and things like that, but just don't put everything in one basket. You really, you got to protect yourselves. And the last thing was, I know it. Oh, be prepared for a suspension. You want to be prepared for suspensions. And here's what you want to do. You want to make sure, and this goes back kind of to the first one about don't screw around. You want to make sure that your Google listing is using your correct business title. Okay. So if you're Bad to the Bone and that's your LLC, don't use Bad to the Bone Pet Care. Do not use Bad to the Bone Pet Care Florida. And certainly don't use, like, I've seen this, 5 lines of descriptions of what you provide, because Google, you will eventually get caught. You will eventually get suspended. And then you will spend time playing catch up. So what you want to do is you want to have paperwork that supports your business title. Okay. So your paperwork, you should have at least a couple pieces of paperwork that are from official people. It can't be invoices. It has to be from people like, say, in the US, the IRS. Okay. I know Canada, I can't think of what it's called, but I know there are similar bodies. In Australia, I think it's the ABN. UK doesn't have an equivalent. I think Ireland does. But what I'm saying is basically some sort of municipal or statewide, province-wide place where you register your business name. Okay. You want to make sure that's either the business name or the equivalent of a doing business as, fake name, alias, whatever, that your business title matches that. Address. You want to make sure that your address that you use to set that listing up is at a legit address. that it's, again, it's not a family member. It's not your mom, your dad. It's not a post office box. It's not the sort of place that you don't control, right? It can't be a co-working space. It can't be one of those places where you just get mail there and nothing else. It
Okay.
has to be a legit place, whether it shows or not. A lot of people tell me, oh, it doesn't show. I'm like, no, it has to, it still has to be a legit address. You can't just use any address. If you're not sure, Google has very specific rules on it. You can Google this, this actual page. It's like Google Business Profile, how to represent my business. And that page has a lot of good information on everything from your listing title, eligible businesses, ineligible businesses. And then it goes through each element explaining how to, what's acceptable and what's not. That's the big thing, is you want to be able, if you get suspended, you want to be able to prove to Google what your legit listing title is, your address is, your website, phone number. They come up with a number of things. And the thing to remember too about getting suspended is they don't tell you why you're suspended. They do not. They just say
Oh
you're
no.
suspended, and you're sitting there like, wait, what? It's like you feel like you're in the middle of a meme. It's like, but then there's no way to go to. It's like, oh, well, could have been this, could have been, and you go around and you're like fixing things that were fine. And then you're like, oh, you send it to Google. It's like, no, that's not what you need to do. And Google doesn't necessarily, like I said, they don't tell you why you're suspended. And they don't tell you the best way to go about getting, it's called reinstated. And to me, that's to everybody, that's really frustrating. Like, I got suspended. I have a listing because I'm allowed to have a listing. I'm legit. And my listing title is actually my DBA. Pet Sitter SEO is actually my DBA. And I have my paperwork. Thank you. And the reason I bring that up is because I figured out, and it was something that none of y'all would ever get suspended for, but I got suspended for it. And again, it wasn't something I did. It was something, anyway, it was a connection I had. But anyway, but I made the connection somehow. I went in and I fixed it. And then, because I knew this, I gave them my IRS paperwork. I gave them my DBA, my LLC, and I think I gave them like one other thing. And I like I said, I made the edit. I sent in the supporting paperwork, and this is long ago. I was back within 12 hours. But that was because I knew what the thing was. The problem was, most people will not know. So you need to make sure that you're kind of following their rules from the outset. Like I said, if you have a question, go to that Google Business Profile, how to represent my business. It's all in there. And then just make sure that whatever you claim on there, that you have a support for, you have supporting paperwork for.
Wow. Wow. This is
That was
intense.
a master class, wasn't it?
For real. This is intense.
Sorry.
So when people have these issues, if their listing gets suspended, or if they're not showing up for the searches that they want to be showing up for, or in my case, I had reviews go missing and I didn't know why or how they went missing. I mean, that's where you come in hand. I mean, how do you go about all of this, and just tell me more about your services actually.
Okay. I'm a woman of many talents. But what I do is, if the biggest thing, I will say, the biggest thing that I now do, which I did not do a year ago, but I know now because I've enhanced my skill set. I hate that term, but you know what I mean. Is that if people get suspended, I can help them get reinstated. Now, what happens oftentimes is people will get suspended and will go, oh, well, and they will go back and they will take care of it. And Google will come back to them, and Google's like, no. So that's when they come to me. I mean, people can, do whatever they want. I actually give a special rate for pet care businesses because you're pet care businesses, and I love pet sitters and groomers and all. So, but
Awesome.
that's the biggest thing. I do that. If people don't show up in searches, I will often ask you some basic information, and then I will go in and I will look, and I will tell you, you need to update your Google listing. I have reports for that. I will explain that to people. or sometimes it's you need to work on your website. There's things on your website that are just, they're not working to your benefit. And I do reports on those. I do reports on Google listings, and I do reports on websites. And as I said, I also help with reinstatements. Some people I actually help create their Google listings. They're like, I've gone this long without a Google listing. Oh no. I'm like, hello. Yeah, but it's, I do most of those things. Like I said, SEO audits, Google My Business listing audits. I mixed Google My, no, it's Google Business Profile audits. I can help you get your Google listing back. I can help you get it seen by more people. I help with that. I also, oddly enough, I also have about an hour-long training in, of all things, writing blogs. The reason I say this is because I know at least one person who now makes business out of it. And I was like, I am so impressed with you. But what some people don't understand is that the way, it's not necessarily, yes, it's the information that you present, but there's so many, it's how you actually structure the blog, right? So people don't understand that a lot of times. They don't understand kind of what they think the biggest struggle is what they should be writing about. But to me, that's the easy part. The harder part is how to present it, how to put it in a fashion where it could actually get picked up by Google, so that people who are just typing in that topic would be able to find the page, or Google would pick it up and say, oh, this is, because there's an entirely other thing that I also talk about that that people, if you don't mind my going off for a second, something that people don't realize about on their websites, which is called EAT. And EAT is, I don't know, people have been speaking about it for the last couple of years. And this relates to both blogs and it relates to SEO. I don't have a specific specific report about it, but I do talk about it in my SEO ones. Oh, I also do video consultations too. If anybody wants to just come on with me for an hour and sit there and ask me any questions about either of those, totally cool. I record them. Y'all can have them when we're done. But
Awesome.
EAT is something that is really, really important. And I'm going to actually, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm going to see how you do on yours. Okay. All right. All right.
You got me nervous now.
I do. And you and I will have to have a talk. But what I will say is with most, what happens is, remember how before I mentioned about photos, right? And Google can tell what's in the photo. Okay. Google also will take that information that's on that photo, that's on social, that's on your social account, right? And then they will say, well, look, a similar photo is on the Google listing, and a similar photo is on their website. So what they do is they connect that, and eventually they create what's called an entity for your business. So they will say, okay, I now know they're called Bad to the Bone. Doug is in charge. But so then they will look at your page and they will say, do we know, let's see how we know if they're better or worse than anyone in their area. Well, they look at a lot of things, but they specifically look at personal, I guess you call it expertise. EAT stands for expertise, authority, and trust, or trustworthiness. So what it'll do is it'll look at the owner of a business, because you assume that the owner of the business is the one who's most vocal and should be mentioned in most marketing. Okay. Well, does that person, to give you an idea, this will illustrate it very quickly. Several years ago, I saw somebody complaining because all of a sudden, because of some sort of algorithm change, she wasn't being seen for what she was posting about before. And she was writing these articles about, I don't know, nutraceuticals for dogs and cats and whatever. Animals. But if you actually looked at her bio, she had no experience in this. She hadn't trained as a vet tech. She hadn't trained as a veterinarian. She hadn't trained as an MD. She hadn't trained as a nutrition, none of that. No nutritionist, no doctorate, no anything. And she was upset because she was no longer getting traffic to her blogs. Now think about that. If you were going to take medical information for your anything from for you as a person or for your pets, would you take that from somebody who lives across the street from you who has no background in it? I wouldn't.
Right.
I have two cats, and no, I would
Right.
not do that. So that's part of what EAT is. It's what credentials you bring to the table to prove that you know what you're doing. So, like you, Doug, I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but I will say it anyway. Doug was a Pet Sitter of the Year for PSI. Doug should have that on his bio page with links to PSI and links if there is a specific page that explains, what goes into being Pet Sitter of the Year, right? Then you go in and you talk about and again, links completely, training that you have received, certifications that you've received, if you have your background checked, if you're fear-free, all of that, you name it and you link out to it. If you have a blog, the blogs should be written by usually the owner of the business or another person in the business who has at least good background qualifications. Those people should then have their own bio pages, not on the regular one with everyone else,
Okay.
because you want to set these out. And again, you want to make it easy for the Google, the search engines to know to take all this information and create their own full picture of this business. So going back to, I also teach people about blogging. I have different elements so you write your article, right? I explain to you how to structure it. I explain to you what things should be on the bottom of every single blog. I explain to you about the author statement. The link to the author should always go to one specific place. So yeah, that's one of the things I do. Sorry for the tangent, but I do that.
I
But
just quickly made a whole laundry list of things that I need to change and update. My
we'll talk if you'd like to have a chat. Yes. Uh, it's just
Absolutely.
things that people don't realize that you're sitting there like, you know what? I'm a solo. I work by myself. I have people who have worked by themselves for 20 years, they went from a do-it-yourself website to a well-done website. I have a couple of people who I recommend. I don't build sites, but I have a couple of people I recommend. And all of a sudden her calls to me stopped. She had enough to keep herself going. She's very happy with that. And it was all because everything was now structured correctly for the search engines. She didn't have to figure
Wow.
out how to do it. And everybody's got their own thing. But when you have it structured the right way, that's it. That
Wow.
makes your business. It really does.
Oh man. So I need to get signed up for an SEO audit. I want a Google business audit, and I want the blog course.
Dude, I am here. I am here. I always tell people I'm always around. I'm on Facebook. You can write me. I always tell people too, if you send me something either by my website or to my email, and if I don't respond between 24 hours, message me. Message me on my phone number that's on my website or message me via Facebook, because I pay attention to people and I don't like not responding because I don't like that when it happens to me.
Yeah, I am so appreciative that you got back to me so quickly. I mean, we didn't know each other and we had never spoken before. And I just messaged you out of the blue with this issue I was having, and you responded immediately and had it fixed. I mean, just like that. So,
I will say, I will not take full credit for it. Google, I can also tell you too, sometimes when there are times when Google was having problems. Like I will tell you in the month of October, if any of your listeners or viewers got suspended in October, it was awful. It was like 4 weeks. I mean, that's how bad it was. You would be offline. Now it's down to less than a week again. So,
wow.
everything changes. Like for a while there, it was like you asked Google to return a missing review, and it literally took a month, 6 weeks, something like that. And now it seems like they've done something, because now it's back down again. Now, the things I want to point out though, I can help with suspensions, but people usually, not always, they can ask me for help at the beginning when they first get suspended. Or, what the heck, you can try it for yourself. If you get reinstated, more power to you, you save money. But if you don't, you can always come to me. It's gonna be the same rate, whether you tried it by yourself or not. But you know, always give it a shot. The problem is, the thing is, I will also be able to tell you how long you'll have to wait, because you know what happens is if people try for things, like they try to get things fixed, sometimes their methods, that channel will be clogged. And like when you came to me with missing reviews, I don't go, there's no place to report those. There's literally no place to report those unless you go to support. Sometimes support will help you. I don't know that that's usual. And that's why I go to a special channel that it's just for Google product experts. So sometimes it's of value to contact somebody like me, because we can tell you what the best ways. And I will tell you, I've told people, I said, why don't you try it on your own? I've had people, said to people, you know what? I can't help you. You know, your website's fine. You know, your website's doing really well. Don't spend your money on me. I've also told other people, don't spend your money on me. You need to start saving up for a new website. I have told them that, because you know what? The amount of money it would take between my assessment and then you're getting somebody to fix it, or you trying to fix it, I think it's just not worth your effort. So
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
honest. I'm honest. I'm trying to be nice, but I'm honest with people. I don't want people wasting their time or their money on something that is going to not really help them. You know, I'm very thrifty, and I don't like feeling cheated, and I don't like putting money towards things that are just not gonna, not gonna help me in the end.
Yeah, yeah. As someone that has bootstrapped my whole business, I appreciate that.
That's it. That's the term, you know. And pet sitters, people don't believe me. I know that there are pet sitters out there who have, 10 and 20 employees or ICs or whatever. You know what? It's just me. I do everything manually. I have a few tools, but for the most part, I don't like to play around. You know, I treat everybody as though they are by themselves. The only
Yeah.
times when I treat people a little bit differently is if you come to me, you have a really bad website, and you tell me that you have, X number of employees. I'm like, you owe it to yourself to get away from this really bad website. You owe it to your, employees and your clients to get a better website. But other than that,
Yeah.
you know, I treat everybody the way they should be treated, I think, anyway.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, man, I mean, we're coming up on an hour here, so we're gonna have to schedule another time to record a video all about reviews. I want to know more
Yes.
about reviews. I think there's a lot to go into there. Um,
Yes, definitely. Reviews are really good right now. I will just tell you in short, reviews are very important for people to have, and it's not necessarily the number, but the content. You want
mm,
to have reviews of, I always recommend at least 4 sentences if you can ask people that, and mention the specific service that you provided. And it's funny, I've been saying this for years, and now Google actually can pick that up. Like if you say, I want a Santa Barbara dog walker, and somebody wrote that in your review, she's the best Santa Barbara dog walker, that actual little bit of text, Google will sometimes pick that up and will quote it. I'm like, I've been saying this for a while, and now it's finally, Google shows that I was right. But yeah, you want to have a good number of reviews. You want to have them be coming in on a consistent basis. And everybody, get ready, sit down, don't be shocked. Don't buy reviews. Don't go to somebody who's telling you they're going to sell you reviews. Don't tell you no, don't believe them when they say no one will be able to tell. Guess what? I can tell. I can look at a massive reviews, and I can tell right away that you bought these. I had one today where there were 3 businesses. Somebody said, well, I strongly suspect. I looked at those 3 businesses. I combined their results. It was sad about how bad these were. And it was like the
wow.
same account left a review on all 3 of the businesses. Not only that, it was the same review. So it's
Oh
like,
no.
reviews are one of my favorite things, but I will tell you, I do not take kindly to people who have fake reviews on their listings, because that to me means that you're trying to cheat the others in your neighborhood. and in your local
Yeah.
area. And to me,
Yeah.
I don't have, I think it was the schools that I went to when I grew up. I don't abide people cheating. I just don't think it's very nice. And I think it's
Yeah.
wrong because,
Yeah.
you're taking money off somebody else's child's table. I mean,
Right.
there's somebody who's contacting me from Vietnam. This is what tells you, like, the things I kind of drawn to. They have a bike rental, two companies, and all they do is bicycle rentals and I think motorbike rentals. And they have come to me like 3 times because they have a competitor who attacks them. And I've gotten to the point where they're like 4-year-old. They bring their 4-year-old on and say, "Thank you, Miss Amy." And I'm like, not
Oh,
necessary. Really cute, adorable. Not necessary, but no, because we got review attacks taken down. And then they come back to me and they're like, they're at it again. I'm like, okay. And we report it to Google. And so reviews are
wow.
very important. We could have another hour-long conversation on them, but just know it's good to have a lot of numbers, but what you also want is the content. You want people to say not only nice things about you, but about the services you provide in the location in which you provide them.
Do you
So
have a way, just really quickly, do you have a way that you would recommend of asking our clients to include that kind of stuff in the reviews?
I personally, I have a lot of stuff in my Google listing. I have like a whole page on different, well, it's more than that. It's like 2 pages. It's why you should have reviews, how to ask for reviews, how to respond for reviews, how to report reviews that you don't believe are justified. I
Awesome.
off the top of my head, I really would ask. I think it's just so dependent on the personal situation, but I will say to people flat out, ask them for 4 sentences.
Okay.
Ask them for that and hope that they'll add more. But what it has been found that lengthier reviews stay up towards the top, before you filter them. I always filter them, but they will always stay up at the top. And you could also ask them to leave a photo, right, of the pet that you cared for. Those listings, those reviews also stay up closer to the top, which is nice.
Okay.
So, but I wish I could say, I just think it varies even, from client to client. You could
Yeah.
say to some clients, you can leave them a QR code on a card, and half of them will be like, what? Whereas you could get if you are in an area where people are in their 20s and 30s, they're like, oh, that's great. I don't have to look it up. Boom. And they'll leave you, those are the kind of people who, when you go to a restaurant, go, I don't need the menu, right? Yep.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is ask.
Yeah.
Don't expect people are going to review you, especially if you are younger. I think younger people expect that, from just limited experience, they expect that people are going to leave reviews, and you can't do that. You have to actually ask, and they often will do it. It's just sometimes they don't realize how important it is to a business, right? To get
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
just it's hard to explain to people, but like I know businesses who have huge numbers, and at first you're like, oh, there's no way that this business of that type could have that many reviews. And then you went and look at them and you're like, they're legit. They're real reviews. Oh, and one other quick thing, and I know we may be going over, but one other quick thing about reviews and ratings, which are different, right? It's the number like 4 point whatever. You don't have to have a 5.0. You don't. People expect you to have somewhere between a 4.5 and like a 4.9. And that because other than that, you look a little fake. But what I will say too is the other reason why you want to have as many reviews as possible is because what if you do have that? What if you have a bad spell or a bad employee? And you start getting, 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars, they can't be removed any other way, right? So they get to stay on there. Well, I've seen ones recently where people say, oh, these 2 reviews are really ruining my business and my ratings down. I'm like, 2 reviews,
Hmm.
2 reviews are bringing your business, your rating down. That's not on Google at that point. That's on you. Because if you had 2 reviews that are bringing your rating from 5.0 to 3 point something, that means that you probably only had 3 reviews and then the 2 bad ones came in. So just remember, another reason to ask for them is to get yourself that pillow. Right now I'm doing really well. I have lovely people who reviewed me, and I could contact every one of them. If they ever disappear, I can find them, you know. But it's really something to think about math-wise. You want to have a good number of reviews for the 1 or 2 times when somebody had a bad experience and went and decided that they needed to tell the world about it. Because you don't, like right now, I'm not even going to go into how many I have. I'm very lucky. People have been very generous. But if I got 1 or 2 bad reviews right now, I would still be at a 5.
Wow.
It's just math wise. So that's your goal. Your goal is to have as many good reviews as you can on a consistent basis to prepare you for the time when you have a bad spell.
That
Right?
makes sense.
Bad spell. So it doesn't bring you down to, like, 4 or 3 or whatever. You want to have enough to have yourself that nice cushion.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I have not that I count or anything,
Oh,
but
dude.
I have 99 Google reviews, and it is my life mission right now to get to 100 Google reviews by the end of the year. So
I did it. I did it a few months ago, and I was so blessed. I was like, I haven't been posting. I will say I have not been posting a lot on social media recently on Facebook. And I have a very specific reason why I haven't been. But boy, I was like over the moon. See, what happened was some of my that's another thing we should talk about, some filtered reviews, because if you ask for 5 these days, you're lucky if 3 posts. But I had some of my reviews taken down, and I was like, well, darn, don't you? I don't think so. I went to sleep and and when I woke up, I had 6 reviews. I have 6 reviews, and they were returned to me. I was like, did I report 6 reviews are missing? I didn't remember. But it's like they'll go away and then they'll come back, and you're like, yes, yes, like you. Yes, yes. I thought the Google gods were shining on me that day. They took one away the next day, but that's okay. But anyway, but we can
man,
have an entire discussion on reviews about the
let's plan
content,
on it.
number, all that.
Let's plan on it. Yeah. Tell us where you said that you have a couple pages with all the information about reviews. Tell us where we can find that. Tell us where we can find out about your blogging course, and just get in contact with you about all the stuff that you're talking about.
Sure. I am the best place, excuse me, to find me is on Facebook. I'm at Pet Sitter SEO, 3 different words. I'm in there. It's kind of this really pretty shade of bluish, light bluish gray kind of.
Yeah.
Pet Sitter SEO on there. I am also at, even though the website needs a little updating, I will say that it's functional, and it's lovely, but it needs updating. It's petsitterseo.com, or Amy at petsitterseo.com. The best page on that website, it's like the one page I keep current is my about page. Get on that and it'll be like, oh, wow. But other than that, it's like, well, I'll get to it. It's just Christmas vacation, maybe, when I'm not doing, Google My Business or Google Business Listing audits, which I'm hoping
Awesome.
to at the end of the
Awesome.
year.
I will put all of that information on the screen right now, and then I will put it down in the description below so people can click on the links and go directly to those pages.
Thank you. Like I said, I really enjoy working with pet care businesses. And a lot of times it's because y'all know the things that I'm telling you. It's just because they're fairly logical, I mean, there's some things that I can uncover that people can't cite these tools and whatever, but a lot of it is just so logical. Like, don't ask to come up for a service when you didn't mention it on your website or on your Google listing. And people are like, I didn't? Oh. So that's what, like I said, that's why I kind of like it, because people come back and they're like, oh, I never realized that. I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This has been I'm mind blown right now. I have a whole page and a half of notes.
Sorry, I tend
I'm
to do that.
I'm going to be in contact about a lot of things here, and we'll schedule another time to do a video about reviews. And I just appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. And I know all of the YouTube subscribers will appreciate it also. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and be sure to share this video with any other pet business people that you think could benefit from everything that Amy has told us today. And thank you. I'm Doug the Dog Guy, and I'm reminding you to stay positive.